Press the button.
Red light.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
There you go.
thank you. My name is Barbara With, and I come from La Pointe, Wisconsin, so we might even be farther north than beaver trading helipad. And I have just 4 different talking points. I don't want to take up a lot of your time. I'd like to address a little bit about process and a little bit about content, if I could. And so, in talking about the process, I'd like to just give a little bit of backstory, so please bear with me while I set up what I'd like to say with process. Last summer, I filed a complaint with the Department of Justice under RICO, which is the Racketeering, Influenced, and Corrupt Organizations Act. And I did that because originally when I found that the Supreme Court recount was election fraud, and then the subsequent laws that have been passed that are now being challenged in federal court, but my complaint laid out 4 different kinds of fraud that were going on: media fraud, the election fraud, the judicial fraud, and the legislative fraud. And how I spelled out how I saw the legislative fraud was that the majority party was colluding together to pass bills despite what the Democrats were saying, despite what the people were saying, oftentimes despite federal law, to pass bills into legislation that were basically benefiting the corporations. And I filed this complaint, and I listed all of the Wisconsin Republicans because we've been documenting this for the past year. We've got some documentation coming after the passing of the mining assembly bill, which was done in violation of the treaty rights, and also now in closed session. So how this relates to this Wolf bill is that this came out on the 27th, and that was the day after Anishinaabe had come to once again try to have their voices raised and heard, to tell you that the wild rice that the mining bill will destroy is their sacred symbol, it's their food, it's what feeds their children. And despite all of their pleading to get you to understand that they have a seat at the table, they were denied publicly, discredited, treated very, very, very poorly, and we passed the bill anyway. And the next day you come out with this bill about wolves. And on the 26th, Joe Rose told the story of the wolf being the sacred symbol. So as far as process goes, that it came out on the 27th, it's rushed out, and apparently, according to Mr. Milroy, this is the first day y'all have seen it. So this is the kind of process, the rushing legislative fraud that we've seen all season, and I object to that. I object to the process. I object to what you've done to leave our voices off and to leave the voice of the Anishinaabe off. And so what this bill, the message that this bill is sending to the Anishinaabe people, and I'm going to do this symbolically because I want to make a point. I want to be civil, but I want to tell you that what this bill is doing, this is the symbol that it's sending to the Anishinaabe people.
That's enough. That's enough.
And that
Chairman.
this symbol, and the reason that just please let me explain.
I would like just to state the issues of the bill and
Yes,
the Wolf bill.
and I am, the Wolf bill.
We've gone over the mining bill and quite a few things here.
Yes,
And
and I-
specifically states the Wolf bill.
Yes, and so the Wolf bill, which basically says you're going to harvest their sacred symbol. Now I understand there's management of resources, and the Anishinaabe have used and managed our resources up there beautifully for a very long time. They've done it they've worked with the DNR, they've done it very successfully, and I'm wondering, did they have any voice in crafting any of this, since it will apply to their ceded lands and the reservation? So, just in closing, and thank you for allowing me to push, because this is really what it's being perceived as. So I would just say that in the next few days, just pay attention, because there's a lot of other things coming down the pike that may affect you, and this bill will be in those the evidence that we're bringing forward. So Unfortunately, I don't have time for questions, but thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Just for persons' information that are maybe watching today or in the audience here today, this bill was not just brought out today for legislators to see. It was better than a week ago that legislation was brought out. And it's not uncommon for some things to come out and move forward. In the light of the way things are going, bills around here this time are going to be probably moved to the floor and voted on, in a timely manner. Thank you. Next person to